Sometimes loss is not the end. It's life pushing you to fly higher. Today's story will give you a new hope, so stay with us till the end to learn this powerful life lesson. In the mountains, there stood an old temple. Its marble walls were mossy. Its courtyard was silent, and at the center, there was a great bronze bell, but it had not been struck for many, many years. Dust rested on its surface. Birds passed by without care. However, one small sparrow noticed something. Inside the hollow of the bell was a safe place, cool in the summer, sheltered from the rain, perfect for a home. The sparrow had twigs in her beak. One by one, she built her nest. She lined it with feathers, but she was happy as she worked hard. "This is my safe place," she said to herself. "Nothing can hurt me here." Day by day, she went on peacefully. She sang in the mornings. She rested in the afternoons. She was thinking that the bell would never sound again. Her world felt secure. However, life has a way of shifting when we are not expecting it. One morning, the footsteps were heard in the courtyard. Monks of the temple had assembled. They looked at the old bell. After several years, they thought it was time to ring it again, to invite the villagers to pray. The sparrow did not know. She sat happily in her nest. And then, boom! The monks struck the bell. There was a heavy, thunderous noise in the air. The bell shook with force. The sparrow's nest trembled. Twigs fell apart. Feathers scattered. In one blow, her little home was ruined, and the sparrow flew out in terror. She went round the courtyard. Her safe world was gone. She cried in her heart, "Why did this happen to me? What wrong did I do? Why did life take away my home?" She flew away out of the temple with heavy wings. She had nowhere to go. Day after day she wandered. She searched the valleys. She rested on branches, but nothing felt right. She grew tired. She grew hungry. She thought about giving up. Something within her told her, "Keep flying. Keep searching. Don't stop now." So she did. She kept moving. She continued to believe that somewhere, somehow, she would find a new place. One afternoon, she tracked the noise of water. It brought her into a secret glade in the forest. Light fell through the trees. The air was fresh and sweet. Berry trees were loaded with fruit. A stream sparkled nearby. The branches were thick and spongy, perfect for building house. The sparrow stopped. She looked around. She could scarcely believe her eyes. It was paradise. With new hope, she began again. She made another nest, twig by twig. She was more careful this time. She chose stronger sticks. She laid them patiently. The nest became larger and stronger than the first. When it was complete, she sat in it. The light wind brushed over her. The stream sang a gentle song. She looked around and smiled. "It is better than the old bell," she thought. And then the sparrow realized, if the bell had never rung, I would remain stuck in that hollow place. I never would have discovered this lovely garden. It was not the end after I lost my first home. It commenced something more than that. Friends, life is like that. We all build our nests. It may be our home, our job, our relationships. We feel safe. The thing is that we feel nothing will ever change. But one day, the bell is shaken by life, and all we know breaks. In those moments, we ask, why me? Why did I lose what I loved? The pain feels heavy. The future looks uncertain. But just like the sparrow, we must keep flying. We must keep searching. Since the end of one chapter is not the end of the story, what we sometimes think is loss is just a disguised start. The things that fail can bring us to greater things, places we never imagined. Remember the sparrow, the bell that blown away her nest, belonged to the same bell which set her free. It drove her out of her comfort zone. It brought her to a heaven she had never seen. So when your world is shaking, do not be scared. Don't think it is the end. Keep your spirit strong. Keep moving. Keep building. Because your next nest, your next home, your next chapter is possibly the prettiest one of your life.
Once upon a time, there was a very lazy man in a village. He would keep trying to get food without doing any hard work. One morning, while wandering around the countryside, he decided to steal some apples to eat. As soon as he tried to pick an apple, a farmer saw him and started coming at him. The lazy man got scared and ran into the forest nearby to hide. While walking through the forest, he saw an old wolf with only 2 legs. The man wondered how that wolf was surviving with only 2 legs. The wolf could not run or feed himself, and there were threats from other animals. but he was happily crawling around. Suddenly he saw a lion coming towards the wolf with a piece of meat in its mouth. The lazy man climbed up the tree to save himself, but the wolf stayed because he could not run away. But the man's eyes were on stalks as he saw the lion left the piece of meat for the wolf to eat. The lazy man felt happy seeing God's play. He started to think that God always has a plan set to take care of his creations. Then he believed that God must have something planned for him too. So he left to find a place to sit and wait for someone to feed him. He waited. He waited. He waited there for 2 days without any food. Finally, he couldn't bear the hunger and left. He met an old sage on the way. He told everything to the sage and asked, "Oh, wise one, God showed mercy to the crippled wolf, but why didn't he show mercy to me?" The old sage answered, "It's true that God has a plan for everyone. You are obviously a part of his plan. But son, you took his signs in the wrong way. He didn't want you to be like the wolf. He wanted you to be like the lion." Sometimes in life we can misread God's signs for us and take them in the wrong way. But don't despair. Maybe contemplate about your life so far and think about what God's signs you have possibly misread in your life. I hope this story could shine a light on the more happier and more successful path that you can take in life. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.
Sometimes, in life, things don't go the way we want. We pray, we hope, and we wait, but nothing seems to change. In those moments, it's easy to feel abandoned and hopeless. But what if the challenges we face are actually part of a greater plan? What if what seems like a disaster is actually leading us towards something better? Once upon a time, a large ship was caught in a violent storm at sea and sank. Everyone on board drowned along with the ship, except for one man. By the will of the Almighty, this man miraculously survived and, in an unconscious state, washed up on a deserted island. When he regained consciousness, he found himself alone on the island, with no one in sight for miles. Feeling hopeless, he looked up at the sky and prayed, "Oh my Lord, please help me. Send some help for me." The entire day passed, but no help arrived. A few days later, he stopped praying because he had lost all hope. He could no longer remain patient. Determined to survive, he gathered some branches and built a small shelter. He plucked coconuts from trees and started fishing for food. About 15 to 20 days passed. By then, he had completely given up hope of being rescued. So after nearly 20 days of effort, he built a small hut with branches. One day, while he was out collecting coconuts, he returned to find his hut engulfed in flames and completely destroyed. Looking up at the sky, he began to cry and said, "Oh God, I asked for your help, but you didn't help me. The only shelter I had, you burned it down. Why, God? Why are you so cruel?" He spent the entire night blaming God and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, he was awakened by a loud sound. When he opened his eyes, he saw a large ship docked near his island. Overjoyed, he wasted no time and quickly got on board. Once on the ship, he asked the captain, "How did you know I was stranded on this deserted island?" The captain replied, "We saw a signal fire rising from the island. We realized someone was here, so we came to rescue you." At that moment, the man remembered his burnt hut. He now understood that the fire the captain had seen was actually from his destroyed home. He realized that it was all part of his Lord's plan to get him off that deserted island. He understood that God's plan was far greater than his own. He thanked God and sought forgiveness for his doubts. In our own lives, when we face difficulties, our faith starts to weaken. We become impatient and begin complaining to the Almighty. But we don't realize what plans He has for us. We can never predict His wisdom. He provides for all creatures in this world. He knows exactly what to give and when to give it. So whenever your plans seem to fail, whenever things don't go your way, have faith in Him. He always has a plan for you. Before closing one door, He opens another. Never lose hope. If you like this story, share it and leave a like to share your thoughts.